Hi everyone, and thank you for hearing us out. So, sorry, I'm just like hearing the stories of the other guys is pretty intense. So I live in Kibbutz Mefalsim. We are new members there. We've been living there for a year, and there's this tradition in Kibbutz Mefalsim where around the Sukkot holiday, a lot of the families would go to the field outside, and we set up a camping. So Friday night we were there, and we were all like camping with the kids and having fun. And my husband and I, because it's a minute by car, my husband and I decided that there was no reason for both of us to sleep badly, because in the tent with two kids you don't really sleep. So we decided that he was gonna go back home, sleep well, and come pick us up in the morning, and at least that way he would be like with full energies for the day, and I would be recovering throughout the day. So we stayed, and around 6:30, I heard this noise that I prayed. I was like, please let it be rain. But no, it was rockets. Immediately I start hearing boom, 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 like nonstop. Like I've heard a lot of rockets before, but this was insane. It was such a big amount. And we were outside, we were in the field, there's no shelters there. So as I've seen, I've never been caught outside with my girls. Sorry, I forgot her name, but she said like living in the Gaza envelope, you develop this sense where you feel it's coming, We've actually left a couple times before things get heated, but this time it was a complete surprise. So as I've seen in the news, or as we've been trained to do, I jumped on top of my girls, and I could feel they felt safe. I was completely like shaking, and I started this mantra. I was like, you're with me, you're safe, and protecting you. You're with me, you're safe, and protecting you. And I couldn't even believe my own words, because I didn't understand what was going on. I tried calling my husband, but he was at home and he had run to the shelter, and in the shelter there's no signal, so he wasn't answering. And these heroes from the kibbutz, these men, came because they knew that there were a lot of families camping and we had no cars. So they came, they shouted like, who needs a ride home? Like who doesn't have a car? So I took both my girls. Fortunately, they don't weigh that much, so I could pick them up both, and just ran. And they brought us inside. We ran home, and we went into their dormitory, in their bedroom. That is the shelter in our house. Every single house in the kibbutz has shelter. It's usually the kids' bedroom, and also in our situation. So we ran straight to the girls' bedroom, and I realized that second that there's no electricity in the house. So I'm like, okay, this is the situation, and we're gonna be okay. So we put the light from the phones, and it was like a Hanukkah miracle, because we didn't have much battery, but it lasted. It lasted for a long time. And because we had no signal inside the shelter, and also no electricity, there was no AC, and the room was getting very hot, and without air. So we had to open the door, let some air inside, and also get our phones outside so that we could be communicating with the outside world, because we had no clue what was going on. Time started to pass, and we started hearing machine guns going around, and it sounded like close, but not that close. And people were panicking. All the WhatsApp groups from the kibbutz were like, where is this? What's going on? Can someone tell us something? And we were trying to stay calm. We understood that there had been terrorists inside the kibbutz, but we had no idea what was going on. So we were trying to get our girls to be quiet. And it's impossible when you have a 5.5-year-old and an almost 4-year-old, and all they want to do is jump and shout and smile and, you know, be sisters and annoy one another. And I turned to my husband. This has been said a couple times regarding the Holocaust. So I turned to my husband and I told him, like, if we would be hiding from the Nazis right now, we wouldn't be alive anymore, because the girls can't keep quiet, and this is just an impossible situation. So we were there for hours and hours and hours. A couple families from the kibbutz called us and they're like, listen, half of the kibbutz has electricity and half doesn't, because there was a generator that worked and the other one didn't. And we kept on hearing machine guns, and they were like, you want to come to our house? I was like, no way, I'm not leaving this place. Like, if I get out, is to get out of the kibbutz. I'm not getting out of my house to go to another house, not knowing if there's a terrorist hiding in the bushes or not. So we stayed at around 5 something, I think it was about to be sunset. We got this message, I don't even remember how, that said that we were allowed to leave, but it was under our own risk. So my husband told us, like, no, we are not leaving. And I was like, okay. We've never ever in any round, in any sort of situation like this, we've never stayed the night. We always leave as soon as we can, so that we can save our girls from all the emotional and psychological scars that likely now they'll have, and ourselves too. So this was the first time that we sort of stayed the night. Fortunately, we got beds for girls that are like bigger, so that we could at least lay down. Not that we slept. We slept around 20 minutes and we would like wake up to another firing round or another missile or something, like all these very scary sounds. And around 3 a.m., maybe 4, we got a message that we could leave. There were some families that did leave when it was about to be the sunset, and a lot of them, our friends, and they told us, like, listen, if you're getting out of the kibbutz, put the girls in the floor of the car and forbid them to look outside. Just forbid them, because this is images that you're never gonna forget. And so we opened the door of the house and we see a lot of soldiers outside. And by then I knew that there were terrorists that had taken the uniforms of soldiers. So I was like, for a second, I was praying, like, please, let it be actual true soldiers and not someone that's gonna come and do horrible things to us. So it was soldiers. They took us to our cars and we thanked them and prayed that they will be safe. And so my girls were very, very strict with them putting their seatbelts. And this was the first time in their lives that they were not with the seatbelt. So they were actually quite happy. And they were like talking among themselves, like, oh my God, we are without seatbelts. Can you believe it? And I was just like so happy that they're so naive and so young, and hopefully they will recover from this much faster. So we left the kibbutz and we started seeing these horrible things that look like the apocalypse: burnt cars, cars that have been gunned down, bodies, a lot of bodies, inside the cars, outside the cars, just like images that I don't know how to describe. And we just went and went and went and went, and at some point we started like we were going to our friend's house, the Sharon, like in the center north, and there were like police, there were some police checking cars, and again I was like, please let it be police and not terrorists disguised as police. So we got lucky. We arrived at our friend's house at 5 a.m. They fed us. They allowed us to, like, they took care of us, and it was amazing. And now we are in a hotel with our community, with families from the kibbutz, where we're receiving a lot of food and clothes and every single material thing that you can think of. We also have a lot of social workers coming and talking to us and everything. I'm overwhelmed. Kibbutz Kfar Aza is right next to my kibbutz. We've lost a lot of friends, a lot of people that I work with. I know that they're kidnapped. I don't know how we got so lucky. And why others didn't. But yeah, that's my story.